Hey, happy Martin Luther King Day. To those of you that actually can pronounce, I can't pronounce, Martin Luther King. I got a great story about the late, great John Saunders, and I go into the Civil Rights Museum in Birmingham, Alabama, and I tell it basically every Martin Luther King Day. It's not that great a story, but I really like John, and I really learned a lot with him, so I hope you're having a great day. If you are off today, good for you, man. Sit back, relax. We got a lot of college hoops coming up at noon. We also have a show right here that you're going to love. I'm sorry, it was wild card weekend. Literally, I don't know what you all did, but I sat on my ass for 2 straight days after, ladies and gentlemen, after getting an hour workout in, which I have wore my family out, talking about, hey, let's get into some things. Probably should go from Sunday Night Football backwards, but we're going to start from the beginning because it was an unfreaking believable weekend. Now, let's be honest. It was a great weekend. I mean, if you didn't like this weekend, I don't blame you, and that just means you're not a football fan. Wild card weekend is among the best. And, oh, by the way, those of you that are participating in January, it was a reprieve. We got to drink a little bit. We got to have a little wine. We have a couple beers. Modelo was my choice this weekend. It was fantastic. All right, let's get right into it. I don't know if you know this. I don't know if you saw this. But this is one of the coolest things that happens. This is what coaches should do. Instead of being arrogant jackasses, Zach Taylor, the head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals, decided, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and give a game ball to the fans of Cincinnati at a bar called Mount Lookout Tavern that apparently he goes by on his way home. He took the game ball in there. You can look it up. Obviously, people had their phones out. People were doing all kind of things. And it was fantastic. What was he celebrating? He was celebrating a hell of a game. 26-19. Derek Carr had the ball late. He drove him down. He couldn't get it done. But see, how do I put this? I never understood coach as jackass. I really haven't. I mean, I get coach as jackass to team, coach as jackass in the organization. Like when I became the interim head coach at Indiana, I'm wearing my IU shirt. Why? Because IU plays this afternoon and red looks good on this show. And I didn't have any other stuff that was clean with red. I'm not a biggest fan of Adidas. This isn't meaning to be promotional, but hey, look, it is what it is. All right. When I was a head coach at Indiana, I always told my father, I said, hey, Dad, if I ever win a game as a head coach at Indiana, we're going to Nick's and having a celebratory beer. Guess what? I won a game. It was a home game. I won a game. It was at home. I went right to Nick's with my dad. We had a celebratory beer. People were very excited, although it wasn't that crowded because it was a weekday game. See, coach as jackass is something I've never understood. So, Zach Taylor, good for you, man. The game, Joey Burrow, was good. He was really good. I mean, he was terrific. 54 passes is what Derek Carr threw. I said this. I said Derek Carr is the guy in the pentathlon of Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, and that might be about it. I put Derek Carr in there as guys I'm up to Derek Carr's got the ball chance to beat me. He got it down there, just couldn't get it done. First playoff win since 91 for the Cincinnati Bengals. Now think about that. Think about all the whining that people do about their team. My team stinks. No. Your team doesn't stink as bad as the Bengals. Seriously, your team does not stink as bad as the Bengals because the Bengals hadn't even won a playoff game since most of you weren't even born. I mean, you're not even born. Nobody, think about this, nobody alive could have until yesterday tweeted out that the Bengals won a playoff game to their friend. Text. Text wasn't invented till 92. Bengals won a game in 91. So nobody alive, 91, you couldn't sit there and text your buddy overseas, hey, Bengals won a playoff game. You couldn't do it. You couldn't do it. How about that? That's amazing. Patriots and Bills. Okay, now let me go through this let me back up a second. Because I have the Bengals as the 4th best team of the weekend. And I'm going to go through my rankings with you and see what you think. All right, Pat and the Bills. I got to tell you, I'm going to talk about this later. Anybody that passed on Josh Allen's an idiot. I don't care what quarterback he had. Did you know Baker Mayfield was drafted first, Josh Allen seventh? Did you know that an offensive left guard, Quentin Nelson, was drafted ahead of Josh Allen? Now, you guys, and I'm going to get into this in a little bit, you guys are going to say, yeah, but he's an all-pro left guard. Do you know left guard, according to Bucky Brooks on the NFL Network, is the 20th most important, but yet the Colts drafted a left guard ahead of a quarterback. I'll get into why and why that was stupid, even though they had Andrew Luck later. But all I know is this. There was no better player in these playoffs than Josh Allen. Josh Allen was throwing footballs like they're damn baseballs. Like he was rolling out, and he had like a baseball in his hand, and he was putting it in guys' pockets. It was a damnedest thing. Like Bill Belichick, hey, look, I'll get into the debate between Belichick and Brady in a little bit. But my God, 21 of 25, 309 yards, not one, not two, not three, not four, 5 touchdowns. Five touchdown passes for Josh Allen. Any good? No. Seems like it was good. Felt like it was good. I don't know. Acted like it was good. Mac Jones? No, you got a long way to go if you're Mac Jones. He was all right, 24, 34, all that kind of stuff. But listen to this. The quarterback rating system is on a 100-point scale, okay? 100. You know what Josh Allen's rating was? 98.5. 98.5 is what the man's quarterback rating was out of 100. Now, hey, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen in a week. I have no idea. And frankly, we'll talk about that as we move through the week. But the truth of the matter is, Josh Allen was a player of the weekend. And I know Belichick, and again, I'll get into this. Belichick is going to, talk about whether or not he wants to coach or not, and that's great, and I hope he does in his 70s. But damn, that was what they call an ass kicking. Man, a lot of you guys that are Lions fans on the YouTube chat, you feel what I'm feeling, and you want a sense of, hey, what about us being awful? Yeah, no, you're right. Hey, what's that there? You are right. Your team is awful. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. But I got to tell you, when you go back to 91, that's a hard thing to beat. We got a lot of people on the YouTube chat, very excited, very, very excited. A lot of people like the Mount Lookout Tap up in Cincinnati. I need to go there. Dan, maybe Josh Allen. Oh, yeah, I remember this. Remember when Josh Allen quoted rap lyrics on Twitter when he was 16 and we all lost our mind? Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Cancel this man. I got 2 words for you. All right, that's my 2 words. All right. I'm a Colts guy. And I'm watching the Bucs and the Eagles. And I said as I'm watching the Bucs and the Eagles, man, I really haven't watched Jalen Hurts. I can't wait to watch Jalen Hurts. All right? Jalen Hurts, man, I'm looking. I want to know what's going on with Jalen Hurts. Here's why. He beat out our guy Carson Wentz. I'm watching Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is horrible. Jalen Hurts is awful. Like, whoa, this guy, what'd they say? Somebody ought to send him somewhere because he can overthrow anything, including a government. My God, Jalen Hurts beat out Carson Wentz. This is how dumb the general manager of the Colts is. He got Carson Wentz and paid him $130 million. And I'm stunned right there. Did you see the stunned? Or did you just think it was old man face? If you thought it was old man face, you're pretty close. But that was my stunned face. I mean, Jalen, what is his name? Jalen Hurts. Now, of course, the guys on the guys on ESPN, the guy Foxworth's defending him because, well, we know why. We know why. White coach out. Get him out. Get him out. Protect at all costs. We get it. I understand. But, Mike, there's no defending that. There's no defending Jalen Hurts. And then there's no defending Chris Ballard for picking up the guy Jalen Hurts beat out. What are we doing? Anyway, let's go through the numbers. Brady, a smooth 29-37, but here's the deal. Man, do I like that defense for Tampa Bay. They come at you, they hit you. One guy, the guy Davis, lost his mind, took his helmet off, but who cares, man? They're making plays, they're enthusiastic. I said this, and I'll keep saying this, and I'll take everybody's grief if you would like. When the Colts or other teams were looking for a quarterback, here's what I said. You got to go get Tom Brady. No, he's washed up. No, oh, okay, fine. Maybe he is. I don't know. But I know this. When Tom Brady walks in the room, man, everybody stands up straight. Psst, it's the GOAT. It's the GOAT. Everybody, fly right, fly right. It's the GOAT. It's the GOAT. I'm telling you, everybody stands up a little straighter, works a little harder, plays a little faster. It's just the way it is. And all of a sudden, he's come to Tampa. And next thing you know, they win a Super Bowl. And now yesterday, that was as sweet as you please. I mean, I know it ended up 31-15, which makes it look like a two-score game, which obviously it is. But that was I mean, what are you doing? That was the easiest stuff ever. I mean, that was a walk in the park. If you're going to have a playoff game, you want it against the Philadelphia Eagles in a horrible division, and you want it against Jalen Hurts. My God, man. And our guy gave the guy he beat out $130 million, 68 up front after 1 year. Don't at me. Don't freaking at me. Don't at me. Colts fans. I spent the whole weekend listening to Colts fans bitch, whine, and moan. When I asked a simple question on Twitter, I'll get into that too. But anyway, Hurts was awful. Brady was okay. And away you go. All right, next game. Aren't you tired of turning on ESPN, radio or TV, and you got to hear about the fucking Cowboys? Sorry for the language, but that's the only way to describe them. I mean, seriously, aren't you tired of it? Aren't you tired of, man, the show before mine from 10 to noon on our affiliate, we're an ESPN affiliate, 107.5 The Fan in Indy, is Greeny. It's Greenberg's 2 hours because, I guess they need Greenberg to do more stuff. But all you hear about is the Cowboys. Remember when Brett Favre was sending his ding-a-ling in pictures and retiring and not retiring? All you ever heard on ESPN is Brett Favre. Then it's LeBron. Mark Schlereth, who hosted in the evenings on ESPN, left and went to local radio. And I asked him, I go, Stink, why'd you leave national radio to go to local? He goes, I got tired of talking about Brett Favre, LeBron, and the Cowboys. Look, I get it. You play the hits. But the Cowboys suck. The Cowboys have always sucked. Cowboys wouldn't make the playoffs in any division other than the NFC East or the AFC South. And I got to tell you, Jerry Jones, my ass. I mean, Jerry Jones is the general manager. And every game they show Jerry Jones in the booth with his kid, whatever. And it's embarrassing for all of them. He sits like the grand frickin' poobah, and he's got his minions around him. That's fine. Be the grand poobah. Be like our guy, Jimmy Irsay. Did you see Jimmy Irsay's TikTok video? That's what our owner does. Hey, you got to have your chips all in if you're going to be walking into 56th Street. That's what Jerry Jones should be. Just be the crazy old man. That's all. Just be the wackadoodle. Just be the nutty guy. Don't be the general man. Hire Ryan Grigson right now. Swear to God, if the Cowboys had any brains, they would hire Grigson, toughen the thing up, and then they'd go win. But another embarrassment, I don't understand why Dak Prescott, every single day I turn on my television, they talk about Dak effing Prescott. Will somebody explain it to me? Like, you're going to see it today. You probably already are. I don't turn on the ESPN shows anymore. I used to go to Mike and Mike every morning. Now I got nothing because I don't want to hear about Dak Prescott's terrible. Dak Prescott is an idiot. They ran the play up the middle, and his dumbass coach McCarthy and him, they're bitching about not getting the ball spotted. Well, I don't know what to tell you. My God, I have never seen a quarterback sneak in that position. I'm sorry. You got what you deserved. And anybody that is whining about, and I mean whining, about the spot or the referee touching the ball, the referee's got to touch the ball. He's got to set the ball. It's an NFL rule. Man, oh man. Drive you nuts. And did Bruce Arians have a defibrillator on? I'm going to go back to Tampa Bay for a second. See, here's where your team can screw it up based on fan reaction. Bruce Arians is a hell of a coach. Bruce Arians, for those of you that don't know, the Tampa Bay coach, he got fired from the Pittsburgh Steelers, got hired by Ryan Grigson with the Colts. So then, when Chuck Pagano went down he had leukemia, but he beat it, guess what? Bruce Arians took the team over and won NFL Coach of the Year. Grigson and everybody knew that they needed to get rid of Pagano and keep Arians. Look, everybody knew it. But here's the deal. When you listen to fans, what do you end up doing? You end up sitting with fans. There was a thing called Chuck Strong. Chuck Strong, yeah, and Pagano knew. So Pagano and the city of Indianapolis, we had Chuck Strong. And then when Pagano showed who he really was, which is a horseshit coach, we had Chuck stay. Everybody wanted Chuck to stay. Finally, they said, no, we went Chuck Strong, but we ain't going Chuck stay. Look, listening to fans, they should have kept Grigson, they should have kept Arians, and the Colts probably would have been in 2 Super Bowls with Luck. Because Luck liked playing for Arians. He didn't like playing for the current happy, hey, we're all happy and smiles regime. But Arians has now gone on. Arians now has gone on and done great things. Don't listen to fans, ever. Ever. When you're coaching, playing, GMing. My God. All right, last game of the night. Big Ben, I've told the story before. I recruited Big Ben to play basketball at Bowling Green. He was Findlay, Ohio, just a little bit south of BG. Came to my team camp. He was a terrific player, tall, skinny kid, great leader. Goes to Miami of Ohio. Now, here's the deal. When Urban Meyer was at Bowling Green, he was really good at Bowling Green, turned the team around, all that kind of stuff. The one guy that he could not stop at all was Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger had this little wideout that came with him, I think, from Findlay. They torched Bowling Green. I think Bowling Green was in the top 15 that year. I think Miami of Ohio was too. They couldn't handle Roethlisberger. Roethlisberger retires. Complicated legacy because of his indiscretions with women. But at the end of the day, the folks at Pittsburgh seemed to love him. He seemed to love Pittsburgh and had a distinguished career, great career, Hall of Fame career. Salute. But he wasn't going to get it done last night. Did you watch the first half? Did you watch the first half of the Chiefs game? Any of you guys, Marby Dog, Dave Carroll, Rick Smith, Sean Black, John G. Anderson, did any of you watch the first quarter of that game last night? By the way, if you want to interact with the show, there's a pretty funny line by Marby Dog. Max Kellerman is a parody of Skip Bayless with a head injury. Oh, you guys are funny. Dan, did you know, speaking of Arians, Rick Smith says on the YouTube chat, you fans, hold on a second, Steelers offense was never the same without Arians. Eric Levi asks this, who thinks it was Big Ben's time to retire? It's on the YouTube chat. Go, there's fun group. I personally think it was time for him to retire. He looks stiff. But anyway, so here's what I bet last night. You ready? So last night, Jared and I, my stepson, America's most handsome man, we're sitting there and we're betting all day. It comes to the last game. And I don't know what you guys thought, but I took the over. There's a parlay. I took the over and I took the money line. I took the over, 46.5, and I took the Chiefs minus 12.5. I took both. First quarter. First quarter comes. What does my wife say after the first quarter? Come in here, Lee.
I can't.
Come on, show real quick. Show your face. There she is. What did you say?
I said, I can't believe you took the over.
I can't believe you took the over. I told you to take the under. Now, Lee's young, impressionable. I'm old and grizzled. Guess what? I agreed with her. I thought, oh, man. And then it became 7-0 when, for some reason, Eric Bieniemy went away from the best quarterback in the league and had a running back hand off to a running back, and T.J. Watt did T.J. Watt things. Then it started, ladies and gentlemen. Then it started. Yeah, it did. 30 of 39, 404 yards, 10 yards per completion, 5 touchdowns. The Patrick Mahomes speed show began. Hey, how about this? How about they put an announcement? I'll find it for you. They put an announcement in Arrowhead that said, hey, look, we're out of fireworks. Sorry, but we're out of fireworks. So, long story short, the over not only hits, 12.5 not only hits, hell, everything over hits. The whole deal hit. Here's my rankings of the best performances this weekend. You ready? I got the Bills number 1. I got the Chiefs number 2. I got the Bucks number 3, the Bengals number 4, and this is odd because this is the road team that won. I got the 49ers number 5. Now, that doesn't mean that you're no good. That just means who you replacing the 49ers? Who are you moving the 49ers up over? Like my rankings, Bills, I'm not moving them above the Bills. I'm not moving them above the Chiefs. I watched how they play. The Bengals, I don't think so. The 49ers, I hate to say it, but that's where we're at. Like it, don't like it. I don't know what to tell you. That's where we're at, period. All right? So, here's the deal. As we move it along, let's look at the brackets. I think this is interesting. I think this is going to be great. And by the way, we're going to have Jonathan Hutton on. Nobody knows more about the Titans than Jonathan. He's on Outkick 360. But here's what I got. So at 4:30, the Bengals are going to the Titans. Now, I got to believe, even though I know there's some weather in Nashville, I got to believe this is a pretty good matchup for the Bengals. I got to believe the Bengals are the happiest group in the NFL. No clue what's going to happen. No clue at all. I have no idea what's going to happen with Derrick Henry. We'll find out. Maybe Jonathan knows. Derrick Henry was supposed to play. Thank you, Lee. Derrick Henry was supposed to maybe sort of play this weekend. The end of the last game of the year. He didn't. We'll see if he plays. But I'll tell you this. I know they're the 1 seed, but I'd rather go play the Titans than I would have to go to play the Chiefs. You see it right here up on the board. All right? So you got the 1 seed, 12-5 Titans against the 10-7 Bengals, but the Bengals, they ain't no 10-7. You can add one more win, so they're 11-7. That's going to be at 4:30, and then after that, the Bills at the Chiefs. I believe the Bills at the Chiefs is the game of the year Saturday night. I do. I think it's the game of the year. I think the Bills at the Chiefs is going to be so spectacular that it may break. And this is odd because it's Kansas City and Buffalo. But the Bills against the Chiefs, Mahomes against Josh Allen, the way Josh Allen played last week, or yesterday, or Saturday. Jeez. Anyway, interest is going to be mammoth for this game. I mean, humongous. I mean, no joke. This may break all-time records. And then after that, it's the 49ers and the Packers. I'm sorry, that game's Sunday. So that's Sunday evening. Let's go back. I'm confused here. I don't know if I screwed this up or not. Sunday, Bills, Chiefs, 6:30 to 23rd. 49ers, Packers. Tell you what, 49ers, fast football team. Fast. Packers been sitting there. You're going to have to be fast in the cold. It'll probably be minus 6,000. When you look at the Packers, you say to yourself, why are they so good? And really, there's only two reasons. Number one, Aaron Rodgers. Number two, Devontae Adams. I mean, when we watched football this weekend, did we really give a shit about the left guard? Only in Indianapolis do we care about a punter, a left guard. That's what we care about. It's big in our community. You wonder why with Manning and Luck, you only won one Super Bowl? There it is. That's what we worry about. All right, so you got the Packers, 49ers. Man, tell you this much. I'm going to take the Packers, but we're going to see as we move through the week what folks think, because I thought the 49ers looked fast. I thought that defense looked fierce. We'll have to check on Bosa and Warner as we go through the week. It's going to be interesting. Bosa with a concussion, Warner with a right ankle. If they don't play, I'll take the Packers all day. It's players, not plays, when we get into this time of year. All right, we've also got whoever wins tonight, Rams-Cardinals, taking on the Bucs. Rams-Cardinals, can we get a bracket full screen real quick? Can we get that up there? Rams versus Cardinals. Rams versus Cardinals tonight. We're going to talk to Jonathan Hutton about that. I expect a high-scoring game. I do. I expect a high-scoring game. I think a high-scoring game is in play here tonight. And I think the Rams are going to win because I think they're just a better football team. Now, hard to bet against the Cardinals, but when I watched the Cardinals crap the bet against the Colts, I became less of a believer. I do like, what's-his-face, Kyler Murray, but I don't like him as much as Stafford. I think Stafford's going to throw the football. Two safeties are out for the Rams tonight. That's not great. But I'm going to take the Rams tonight. And when they play the Bucs, God, these are good games, right? We'll get into that as we move through the week. But the Rams and the Cardinals, one's 12-5, one's 11-6. They've been playing their brains out. We'll get into more of that with Jonathan Hutton. Couple of things to talk about. An icon died. His name is Les Grobstein. Those of you that know Chicago sports, Les Grobstein was and is a great guy. Les Grobstein's a guy from my youth. He was 69 years old, and I can't believe he was that old. He was found dead. I'm not sure what happened. So I mourn Les Grobstein. I do. I think I just, sometimes you do. Sometimes people die. One of the main things about getting old that I hate is the fact that people start dying from your youth and your friends start dying. I don't like it. I don't like any of it. A lot of angry white guys this weekend. Look at Andrew says, this is a clown-worthy tweet. We got Nelson to protect Luck. I sent out a little tweet, just a little tweet. And here's the tweet. And it made every white dude with a beard lose his mind. Josh Allen, 7th pick in the 2018 draft. Want to know who the Colts took 6th? People lost their mind. Fat-ass guys all across the country with beards. Angry white people coming at me left and right. The tweet got 500,000 impressions. That's it. Clown-worthy. Dakich, you suck. You're the worst. You don't know football. I have a question. What's the worst beard on Twitter? Red beard, black beard, or gray beard? I'm arguing the red beard. Dudes with red beards are not only stupid, they're mean. They're really mean. Building your team around the best ever guard. Yeah. How many, I'll tell you this, and you know the kid that scored a touchdown, Nick Allegretti? His dad, Carl, is a friend of mine. Not a great friend, but Carl did 2 things when I was a kid. Number 1, he hit the longest home run off me in Junedale Little League history. And number 2, Carl was a big old dude. And number 2, Nick's dad, Carl Allegretti, when I was making errors at shortstop for St. Peter and Paul, and St. Stanislaus's team was on the sideline. We were in a baseball tournament making fun of me. Carl ran in from left field, dropped his glove, and threatened to beat the hell out of the whole other team. He threatened to beat every 8th grader at St. Stanislaus's ass as I'm sitting there at shortstop kicking balls left and right. Carl's my man. His son, Nick Allegretti, got a touchdown yesterday, and I got to tell you, the whole world of Saints Peter and Paul in Maryville, where we went to school, Andrean High School in Maryville, where we went to school, and Junedale Little League in Gary, Indiana, where we played Little League, celebrated like hell. Nicky Allegretti, you the man. Congrats. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome. We're back. The great Jonathan Hutton, nice enough to join us right here on Don't At Me.
Yo. Good to be back, man.
Glad you're here. Well, break down tonight's game. What are we going to see? What do you think?
I know. I heard you say you thought this was going to be a high-scoring game, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it could be. I honestly don't have a clue about these two teams anymore. I thought I did. Both of these teams, though, Dan, they've shown wild swings of greatness and mediocrity throughout the season. They played back on December the 12th or 13th, Arizona, and that game beat themselves. They had red zone turnovers. They settled for field goals. Matthew Stafford on that day also played his best game of the season against the Cardinals defense. He completed like 11 of 14 passes in the second half, 2 touchdowns, threw for 170 yards. To me, Stafford's the key to tonight. And if you're willing to bet on him, then you take the Rams. He's streaky, though. He's just game to game is one thing, but he's like quarter to quarter because he'll throw 2 picks against the Vikings and then turn around and just have a streak of 2 or 3 straight touchdown passes. But the interceptions are what bugged me the most with the Rams offense. He has 13 picks in 9 games, and his last month of play he has 8 interceptions. And he's fully capable of doing the opposite, too. And that's kind of the same way with Arizona. The Cardinals are a tough team to figure out because through half of the season, they're the best team in the league. And then they really struggled down the stretch, and it's mainly due to the red zone because they scored on just 8 of their 22 trips inside the red zone over their final 6 games of the season. So it's games like this in the postseason that drive me nuts because what you probably expect doesn't happen. And I think both of these teams are more run-oriented than what we may expect tonight. So While I may take the over, I'm probably 50-50 on that if I'm just being honest with you.
I thought early, I thought the Cardinals were a great story. Then I watched them late, and next thing you know, Kyler Murray was just okay. You know what? So I may have misspoke, but I just can't bet the under in any game. It's exhausting. You know what I mean? And is there a ton of pressure on Stafford? This is the first time really in his career he's been expected to really win, get to an NFC final, stuff like that. Be interesting to see how he handles all.
Yeah, this. And there were points, just like the Cardinals, the Rams got off to a roaring start, and we all saw the Titans go there on a Monday Night Football game and beat them, and you leave thinking, okay, they had their full arsenal, or just close to it. The Titans went in without Derrick Henry and still exposed them. And it was because of Stafford. Stafford started that streak of picks during that game. And you kind of look back and think, well, he's kind of been the same player he's always been in Detroit. They've just plugged him in now with a better overall team in LA. That's still a very good quarterback. The top two wide receiving performances we've ever seen were by the hand of Matthew Stafford with Megatron, and then this past year with Cooper Kupp. So, I'm sure there's pressure on him. I don't know if there's as much pressure on him, though, as there is on Josh Allen, or if there is as much pressure as what Dak Prescott felt yesterday. But Stafford's going into it with a team that is all in. He's a veteran that went to LA and they went all in. Last offseason, this offseason, they are built for right now. It's not all on him, but it's about the quarterbacks this time of year for sure.
Oh, we saw that yesterday. Speaking of that, I mean, look, I think the Bills played the best game of the year, and I think Josh Allen was the player of the weekend.
It's hard to argue that. I mean, the Bills' offense was beating any team Saturday night. Any team. They were outstanding. Offensively, every single Buffalo possession ended in a touchdown, except for that kneel down at the end, and that was Mitchell Trubisky who took the knee. I mean, they have waxed the Patriots over their last two games with the facing New England. 18 possessions, 57 first downs, 11 touchdown, 2 field goals, no punts in either of the two games. And here are the Bills who can actually run the football now. Devin Singletary allows the offense not just to be about Josh Allen, even though it is about Josh Allen, and that makes them much more potent right now. Singletary had, 80 yards, a couple touchdowns in the game. McKenzie is contributing. Allen is running again, too. They faced just 7 third downs against New England. And in the postseason, you're going to have to win in a multitude of ways to get to the Super Bowl. This Bills team can do it because they've added an element now that we didn't see halfway through the season, and that's a run game. They're more balanced than what they may appear because Allen is contributing to the run game as well. And you're right about him. I mean, it is hard to be in a zone any more than Allen was on Saturday. And it came from that first drive. Buffalo came out swinging. Brian Daboll, he let Allen run. I thought that was a key to me. They called some runs to get him in rhythm and get the entire offense in rhythm. And it kept the Patriots were just off balance, kept them guessing. And that opening drive touchdown to Dawson Knox, beautiful, because Allen had what felt like 60 seconds to roam and throw. And then at the flick of the wrist, I thought he was just thrown out of the back of the end zone. I think Tirico did too, whoever was calling that game. Yeah. And then the pass was just perfectly placed in the back of the end zone, and Knox went up and made an outstanding grab. So, yeah, I mean, again, I think Allen, going into the weekend, I thought he probably felt the most pressure to go out and perform because this is a Bills team that has been anointed now. They're like the Chiefs 2 years ago. And Allen performed and Prescott didn't. It's every year for the Cowboys. It's this year for the Bills. And Allen has stepped up in a big way. He just destroyed New England.
Yeah, to your point about the Cowboys, I really didn't follow them or the Eagles a whole lot. I mean, but the show before mine on 107.5 is Greeny, and I swear to God, every morning when I drive in and I'm listening to the show, I hear about the freaking Cowboys. And I'm watching it. This is it? This is Dak Prescott? This is the guy who wants more money than Mahomes? Are you crazy? All right, speaking of a guy, Joey Burrow to Chase, that's dangerous for you boys there in Nashville, big boy, because Joey Burrow, although he has a punchable face, has a lot of toughness to him and a lot of moxie. That's going to be an interesting game right there.
I love Joey Burrow. I mean, that guy is a baller. He takes hits, man. Like he stands in there. He is not afraid to get down and dirty to win a game. And now he's got the duo of his former college receiver joining him. And they are so much fun to watch. They have connected right out of the gate. And this was not like a gradual buildup within this offense. It's not like they draft the first-round receiver and the coach every week is giving excuse after excuse as to why it's taking so long to see production. Jamar Chase is fully capable of taking over a game. And it wasn't too long ago he was doing that against divisional opponents like Baltimore. And he can do it to anyone right now. I think the ingredients are there for Cincinnati to win. But I think the key to slowing down Cincy is something that the Titans actually possess. I'm not going out here on a Monday and saying I think the Titans are winning the game, because I think Cincinnati can come in and win. But I think the key, Dan, in slowing the duo down, two things. First, you need a defensive front that can consistently get to the quarterback with 4 rushers and then allow 7 to cover, because this isn't just about Jamar Chase. He's the thoroughbred of the group. He's the star, but out of the gate, you got to be able to get to Burrow, because he was sacked more than any quarterback this season. He was sacked 51 times in the regular season. So the pass rush has got to be consistent, and it's got to keep him off rhythm. And then number 2, your offense needs to be able to take the air out of a game. You got to limit their possessions by extending your own possession. And Cincinnati, they're young, they're talented. They believe. They don't know that they're actually likely a year ahead of where they should be. But their road now consists of road games. And if they get past the Titans, it's on Arrowhead or it's on to Orchard Park against the Bills. And I'm not sure if they're at that level yet. But Burrow and Chase, man, they sure do make them close to joining the conversation. And they're in it now. I mean, they're in the Final Four of their conference, and it is wide open. We saw a run like this from the Titans 2 years ago where they had to go on the road throughout and then ultimately made it to Arrowhead and just were not up to speed, pardon the pun, but just could not keep up with Kansas City. This offense can run with them and run with anybody. But the question is, do you have an offense that can play keep away and really bury them late?
I don't like this debate, okay? I think it's idiotic, but it is something that I see constantly. In this debate, Tom Brady, Bill Belichick. Okay. So, it came up yesterday, obviously, because one won, one lost, right? Or, over the weekend. I don't think there is a debate. First, I don't think there should be. They were a great combination together. But if you just go by what's happened after Brady left, obviously this is a dumb question because advantage Brady. I mean, right? I mean,
absolutely.
Kind of cut and dry.
Well, I mean,
right?
any coach is going to miss the greatest quarterback of all time.
right.
And
they were a great pair together, regardless of what people want to think.
No doubt.
Right?
I mean, any coach I've chatted with, Dan, and I know you would probably echo this, you're only as good as your players. And that's absolutely true. And there's no debate that team was only as good as the greatest of all time behind center. And look, it's advantage Brady by an incredibly wide margin right now. But that should be expected. I think a lot of times media members act shocked for the sake of drumming up some momentum for whatever they're doing. This is a no-brainer. Whenever he left, if this were the NBA, Bill Belichick would have moved to LA to coach another team whenever the greatest left, like Phil Jackson did to go coach the Lakers. They're retooling in New England when you lose your franchise quarterback. It is an incredibly difficult process to do. The Bills, I mean, they're now reaching the pinnacle of their division for the first time in a long time. They didn't win a division title when Brady was in Foxborough, and they've now won the AFC East in back-to-back years. And they dominated the Patriots 2 times out of the 3 times they played them this year. I like pieces of New England's roster, and I think we may overlook them a bit the last couple of off seasons because they're lacking in some key areas, like at wide receiver, where Brady would make up for some of that. He's also played with a couple future Hall of Famers and a current one in Randy Moss in that offense too. But a rookie quarterback, you've got to have some established pieces offensively Because if you make them one-dimensional, like Buffalo did, where you get up 14-0, you're left throwing the football, and that is not where Mac Jones is right now. He can develop into that, but again, that takes time. I like their defense. I like how they tried to upgrade through free agency, but their pass rush let them down. This isn't just a quarterback thing. They had a very specific way to win games this year based on their makeup of roster. And they just had 2 sacks over their final 4 losses. They were trending in the wrong direction at the wrong time of the year. And the Bucs are the opposite. Despite losing players around him, Brady is someone you just can't pick against. And we're now seeing him stay unbeaten in the postseason. That's what he does.
Yeah, I got a lot, people. Well, Belichick's never won without Brady. I'm like, shut up. He's in a Hall of Famer. This is a Hall of Famer. You know what I mean? I'm like, all right, I get what people are saying. It's a natural thing. In fact, I remember talking about it on my show. I'm surprised there's not like a counter on ESPN, how many wins one guy has. I get it. I do. I get that that's what we do, but I think it's crap. I've said this forever. All right? And we talked about this a bit earlier, Jonathan. I don't know what really constitutes a football guy, but I do know this. I don't know where Jerry Jones being the general manager and the guy making personnel decisions, coaching decisions, has been good for the Cowboys. I feel like you can put any coach in there, and year after year after year, this feels like the same thing to me. I don't know. Is Jones being a general manager to blame? Is Prescott? But the Cowboys are the Cowboys. That's who they are. That's what we see every year.
I agree. I don't know if Jerry's the problem this year, though. Like I'm looking at that roster yesterday and watching them just melt away with all those penalties. I mean, that's not a general manager issue. Right. They were built. Right. They were built to win. Last year they could not win in what was a terrible division. They didn't win the division. This year they did that. But look, I'm sure Mike McCarthy's a bit nervous this morning because Jerry wants another title. He's not getting any younger. He wants another Lombardi trophy. And when you consider that the owner is the general manager and he put the talent that he's pieced around that entire organization compared to some of the teams we're watching this year, I don't know if I think you could put a different coach in there and you could win some games. And that's not, I'm not trying to say McCarthy's terrible because we've seen him do it in Green Bay. But this was one of those years where they were doing some great things. They're the top to Jerry Jones' credit, they're the top scoring offense. They have a defense with a boatload of takeaways with 2 young stars that are going to be all pros. And once again, they failed to come close to exceeding expectations. And I know they're thinking Super Bowl because it's the Cowboys. But this franchise needs to look at this like a staircase, and they seem to be stuck on this like 3rd or 4th level where they're climbing, but it's just not very high. Like they couldn't win the NFC East last year. This year they do that, but beyond that, what's next? It's not like you automatically jump into the Super Bowl conversation. This is now 11 straight playoff appearances where they have failed to reach the NFC Championship game. And it's now the 7th time in those 11 playoff appearances where they've been one and done. So I think the hype around them plays into the fact that what you're talking about, Greeny and everyone else, they lead off shows talking about the Cowboys. You're doing it right now. We'll do it later today on Outkick 360 because people want to discuss the Cowboys. There is no denying that. They put up the top ratings on the top rated sport in America and the world. And it's all about that star. And the star, make no mistake, is Jerry Jones. And he put together what was a star-studded lineup this year. And they go out and lead the NFL in penalties. They had 6 pre-snap penalties yesterday. And 4 or 5 of those penalties led to automatic first downs. That's not a winning franchise, and it doesn't look like a very well-coached team. I don't think that's a general manager issue.
I don't either, but he's been there a long time, and and your numbers with 11 straight years not even getting to an AFC championship. It's not like, I always said this about the Cubs. The Cubs are a big market team that acts like they're a small market team sometimes in terms of getting And spending. I also said this about Steinbrenner. If you remember, when George Steinbrenner took it over, he knew what he had in the Yankees. So he went out and acted like the best and the biggest, the brightest. And Jerry Jones has done that. And I agree totally with you. You could argue this year, all right, let me ask you this. When you look at penalties and you look at coaching, everybody pins it on the head coach. I would argue, man, what are these position coaches doing? Who hired these guys? Because you know what? Those are the guys in those rooms, and those are the guys on the field, hands-on coaching these guys. Assistant coaches, I think, sometimes get a hell of a pass because of the pressure on a head coach in the NFL.
Yeah,
you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. And the players don't deserve a pass either here because
exactly right. Because nobody teaches you to hold in practice. Right.
Yeah, they're not throwing many flags in practice either. But maybe they should. Maybe they should in practice in Dallas. The Titans went through a turnover phase here, and all we saw Vrabel do is preach turnovers and takeaways, and they've turned that around within the last 3 or 4 weeks. The Cowboys stayed exactly the same. They had 127 penalties going into the game. I mean, that was right there with the Raiders. The Raiders led the league in penalty yardage. Dallas led the league in penalties. And at some point, you have to address it. I just don't think they ever addressed it from the assistant coach to the head coach. You can talk about it all you want. But, I mean, when that game got tight yesterday, and they were lucky to even get the football back for that finish based on some penalties going on, where you're bear hugging on defense, a defensive holding call. I mean, it's all just bizarre with how they just melted under pressure. And they were a really good team that ultimately isn't among the best teams because they couldn't live up to the expectation. And I don't care how good your offense is. If you're constantly either turning the football over like they were yesterday, or they're committing penalties and keeping teams hanging around, the league is built to be a fourth quarter game, and the Cowboys are allowing you to make it a fourth quarter game no matter how many points they score based on the way they play.
All right, let me go back to the game tonight. Cardinals, Rams, who you like?
I like the Cardinals. I've been on the Cardinals all year. I don't trust either of these teams, first and foremost. The Rams, though, they're down a couple of safeties. They've signed Eric Weddle now. The Cardinals are fully capable of pushing the ball down the field. However, the reason I don't trust them as much as I did to begin the year, or even two-thirds of the way through the season, is Hopkins isn't available yet. And that might be the missing link. I'm sticking by what I've said even at the trade deadline, though. I thought that the trade for Zach Ertz was the best trade at the deadline for this time of year. And I think the Cardinals can get after the middle of the field against some safeties that haven't been with the Rams all that long. I think Stafford's going to throw the football around. I also think that includes a turnover or two. That's just what he does. Murray is capable of making things look acrobatic. I call them circus throws, where he's throwing not just off his back foot, but off his back heel and just letting it rip. That can come back to bite you. I trust the Cardinals' run game a little bit more than I do the Rams, and I think it's one of those classic playoff games. We didn't get many of those in Wild Card Weekend, but this is not Bills Patriots where we get the third time rematch and it ends up being a whitewash. I think this is a tight game that's going to be a lot of fun.
Murray plays better than Stafford. Stafford better than Murray, or they both play really well, or they both play horse bleep. Which one you think?
I think it's probably a mixture of both. These guys are roller coasters during the games. And Murray to me is more streaky week to week than Stafford. Stafford's going to give you that during games where he'll go out one series and they're 5 plays, 82 yards. He'll put up 6. I mean, it looks exactly what they put together. And then comes back out and throws a pick 6. He had 4 or 5 pick 6s this season. So it's not uncommon to see him do that. I think for whatever reason, Murray plays better on the road than he does at home. They're 8-1 on the road this season, including a win in LA. The familiarity is intriguing because they face that Rams defensive front twice a year anyway. So they are familiar with what they're going to try to do and how they use Donald, who's one of the best, if not the best defender in football. So again, I think both quarterbacks give you a lot to like. And Murray and Stafford both are going to have some boneheaded decisions, but these offenses are built to allow a little bit of cushion for that to happen.
You like the path of the Titans?
Kind of. I think the toughest opponent is Buffalo. If they're able to go beat the Chiefs, I'm hesitant to say that they get past the Bengals. I think the Titans can run it on them on Cincy's defense.
Is Henry playing?
Yeah, he's going to play. He's going to play because this week will be the 3-week window where they can activate him. You don't activate him when they did, unless you're planning on playing him in Wild Card Weekend, if needed. I think he would have played this week if they were in the postseason and had to play and they didn't get the number 1 seed. He gets the extra week. I think he's playing. I think they can get to Burrow with 4. They added Dupree. They've had some great play at times from Jeffrey Simmons and Harold Landry and Danico Autry. Again, they have a front that I think matches up well with Cincy, and I think they can run it on Cincy's defense, even though Cincy's defense is much improved, a lot like the Titans. But I also believe that this could end up being the toughest game on the path to Los Angeles because you're getting an extremely hot, streaky Cincinnati team coming on the road, and the Titans are gearing back up after the bye week. And you're also doing that with Henry coming back for the first time in 10 weeks. So I think if they can come out of the gate firing on some cylinders that we haven't seen them do on a routine basis, it's not going to be difficult for the Titans. However, I think they're routinely a slow starting team anyway. And I think the divisional round can end up being the toughest game on their stretch.
You're the best, man. Have a great
You are,
show
Dan.
today. Appreciate,
good morning to you. And
your
staff is awesome there, too, with Outkick. Love the show. I'll be tuned in for the rest of it.
No, you know I'm watching you guys at 3 Eastern. Thanks, Jonathan.
All right.
Thanks, my guy.
Later, man.
All right. Hey, we're going to come back. We're going to review the weekend in a moment. We'll be right back, including Kevin Durant. Got a little NFL, NBA news. We'll be right back. All right, let's do a little recap of what all transpired. You're going to see on the big screen here. Let's first go through the Saturday game so that everybody is aware. 4:30, Bengals at the Titans. Titans had a bye. Bengals did what the Bengals have been doing, which is win games behind Joey Burrow and Jamar Chase. That game's going to go at 4:30. And then at 8:15, the 49ers at the Packers. So you've got the two teams that had byes playing on Saturday. The 49ers, tell you what, man, that's a fast team. That's a team that, I don't know, would you get rid of Jimmy G? We got a YouTube chat going. A YouTube chat usually pretty good with it. I don't know. If I were the Colts, I'd rather have Jimmy G than I would Carson Wentz. I mean, I'll be honest with you. If I were Philadelphia, I'd rather have Jimmy G than Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts stinks. All right, then we got Sunday, 3 o'clock. Whoever wins tonight, Rams, Cardinals, is going to take on the Bucs at Tampa Bay. Do not bet against Tom Brady, man. Tom Brady, oof. He just smooth. And then he gets mad, and it's even better. And then, of course, 6:30, we've got the Bills at the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are the second most dangerous team. I think the first most dangerous team coming out of the weekend, the Bills. Friend of mine played football in college. He's like, Dan, I've never seen a guy throw a football like it's a baseball and throw it in his receiver's pockets like Josh Allen did the other day. I mean, let's just be honest. Josh Allen was a player of the game, 21 of 25, over 300 yards, a 98.5 quarterback rating. That's out of 100 people, 157.6 in the other one. I don't know which one's which, but I know this. What Josh Allen did was freaking unbelievable. And Josh Allen got it to the point where really there was no chance. He was winning that football game. Bill Belichick was going to have to decide. Speaking of Bill Belichick, he will be in our weekend in review. We've ran through the football. Kevin Durant, for those of you that are paying attention to this, and I'm not 100% sure why you would pay attention to this, but those of you that are, Kevin Durant is out 4 to 6 weeks. Kevin Durant is now with the Brooklyn Nets. Kevin Durant, James Harden, Kyrie Irving are the new big three, and we're yay, rah, go fight, win. You know what I mean? That's all good. Good for Kevin Durant. But the truth of the matter is, I don't care. He's out 4 to 6 weeks. He's got a knee. Don't care. I'll watch the NBA when the playoffs come around. But when you watch football, man, guys are playing hard. Guys are balling. Guys are getting on it. Guys are getting after each other. You watch the NBA, nobody guards anybody. Everybody's a clown. I got nothing for it. Although I do like it. Bill Belichick is going to coach into his 70s. That's great. I don't know why. I got to tell you, I don't know why. I mean, I get it. Like, you will never in your lifetime meet somebody that competed harder than I do. Like, I went from being dead to a bone disease, one leg smaller than the other, a 22-inch vertical jump, to playing and being recruited by every school in the country and going to Indiana. Because I understand competitiveness. But one thing I've learned being out and actually getting depression when I coached, because we had so many injuries, I knew we couldn't win, almost dying there. So I understand being competitive. I also understand, man, there's a whole life out there for a guy like Belichick. There's a whole life out there that he's missing out on. There is. I mean, good. Yay, rah, go fight, win. You can go grumble at press conferences. You can go act like you're above it all. You can cheat your ass off, and you can win your ass off. All things that Bill Belichick has done. But you know what? The truth of the matter is, as I get older and I realize the silliness of coaching, I think you're a fool, Bill. I think you ought to call it a career, go to Canton in 5 years, and have a great freaking time. By all accounts, Belichick's got good kids, good girlfriend, good life, a lot of money. Go fight, win. Yay, rah. Go fight, win. But I don't buy it, and I don't think you should do it. But it's not mine to decide. I just tell coaches all the time when they get fired or they retire, congratulations. Tell Urban Meyer that all the time. Hey, look, all the little slaps can criticize Urban Meyer all you want, but he's got a great house. I've been there in Sarasota. Beautiful wife, great family, kids at a dorm, fantastic friends. Pfft. Who gives a damn if some slap on NFL.com thinks he's a bad guy? Who gives a damn if Twitter thinks you're a bad guy? Screw that. I had Twitter on my ass all week, and you know how much it affected me? 0. Joey Bosa, no, I'm sorry, Nick Bosa. I always get my Bosas wrong, has a concussion. Now you say to me, well, Dan, why is that a big deal? Well, I say to you, in the playoffs, there are a couple things that matter. One is a quarterback. 2 is a pass rush. The pass rush is different when Nick Bosa is there. Fred Warner has an ankle. The defense of the 49ers, it gets the ultimate test, right? I mean, let's be honest. Aaron Rodgers throwing the football in Lambeau, in the cold, it is the ultimate test. And you know what? If you don't have 2 of your best, if not your best defensive players, you got a problem. Those 2 aren't back. They're going to get their ass beat, the 49ers are. By ass beat, I mean 7-10. I don't mean 25. I don't mean this is going to be a rout. But let's be honest. I've said this before, and I'll say this again. At this time of year, players, not plays. Players, not plays. Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, back, hell of a game. Those 2 guys out, you got a little bit of a problem. Looks like Pete Carroll's going to be back in Seattle. That's good. Again, another guy. Good for Pete Carroll, man. The hip guy, the hip older guy. I think his time in Seattle has run out. Now, I'm not pretending to be like any of these idiots that you saw all weekend saying things out their ass. I'm not pretending to do that. But here's what I do know. When I get the feeling that something is over, it usually is. Whether it's a relationship, whether it's a night out, whatever. I know when something is over. My wife will tell you. I always know. Sometimes I piss her off because when I know the night's over and she doesn't, I go home. I don't really tell anybody. I just go home. Almost cost me my relationship when we were dating. We were at a bar. She's having a good time. I'm looking around. People started recognizing me, and I'm like, yeah, I'm leaving. I didn't want to bother her, so I just walked back to the hotel. Almost cost me the best relationship I've ever had in my life. I know when things are over. It's a sixth sense. You got to know when things are over. Like, I knew it was over for me at Bowling Green. Stupid. Should have left earlier, but that's all right. Life's worked out beautifully. Pete Carroll, it's over. You don't have any momentum. Now, you can take steps to get momentum. You can go back and try to sign some guys. You better figure out what to do with Russell Wilson because, one hand, Russell Wilson wants to be back with the franchise. On the other hand, Russell Wilson's saying he's going to look at his options. I don't know. Who the hell knows? But I know this. That feels like it's over. Speaking of over, I talk about the NBA, and I talk about it with a mixed bag because, frankly, I don't like the way the game's played. Too many jump shots. Used to be great offense. Now it's not. Great athletes doing fantastic things every night. It's a little like Major League Baseball. Like if you watch Major League Baseball every night, you're going to see unbelievable plays. Same thing. Magic Johnson's kind of had enough of the Lakers. And when Magic Johnson speaks, people should listen. When Russell Westbrook speaks, people should turn their head, put their headphones on, and not listen to anything. When LeBron James speaks, I don't know. To me, LeBron James is just a guy that when he speaks, you go, all right, are you real? Are you posing? Are you trying to make money? Do you want another T-shirt ad? What are we doing? Magic Johnson speaking about the Lakers, I listen. He called them out. He doesn't like the way they're playing, doesn't like the way they're built. It's all good. Russell Westbrook said, well, he's entitled to his opinion. Great. But the truth of the matter is, you know what? I'm a basketball guy, they tell me, but really I'm a football guy. And when Magic does speak, I kind of listen. On Twitter, he's an idiot. And I heard it, thought it would be a bigger deal, but you know what? We're not paying attention to the NBA right now. Are we? I mean, I don't know. Doesn't seem like we are, but I like Magic still caring about the Lakers. I do. I like Magic caring. When Magic speaks, I listen. When Barkley speaks, I laugh. When Shaq speaks, I can't understand. When Bird speaks, When Isaiah speaks, I listen. It's all interesting stuff, but I like the fact that Magic Johnson called out the Lakers. I think it's a big story, and I ain't mad about it. Speaking of I ain't mad about it, I'm going to go back to something. So this weekend, I asked a very simple question on Twitter. Very simple. Very simple. And the question was this. In the 2018 draft, all right, the Colts drafted 6th. They took a lineman, Quentin Nelson. Now, you all are jumping up and down, standing there in your head and shitting snowballs, going, hey, oh, man, generational guard. Generational, great Hall of Fame guard. And I'm like, yeah? Okay. Well, I ain't mad about calling out the Colts and the general manager about it. Yeah, there's a thing that Colts fans are showing that I said I loved the pick back in '08. Who cares? I ain't paid to make the pick. I ain't paid to make the pick. If I was paid to make the pick, I ain't picking a guard with the 6th pick. I said that on my show before the show, and I said it after the pick, but I like the pick. It's fine. What do I care? But the truth of the matter is, you don't pick a guard 6th. Did anybody watch this weekend? How many athletes are there? A zillion. You build outside in. Be careful, Chicago Bear fans. Be freaking careful. Grandpa Polian is up to his grandpa things. Grandpa Polian is the guy that put together the most overrated regime in the history of NFL football. The Indianapolis Colts. I love the Colts, man. They got a Hall of Fame guard. Really? Good. The Colts ran for more yards when the Hall of Fame guard was out this year. Hall of Fame guard my ass. Not one guy voting for All-Pro understands what a guard does. Not one. Grandpa Polian made this pick. So Grandpa Polian put together this regime. This regime that picked the guard 6th. This regime that took a guy named Ben Banigou over A.J. Green, DK Metcalf. Don't even get me started. I know you could do that with any team. But the truth of the matter is, in the modern NFL, I don't give a shit if the guy's a generational guard or not. You don't pick a guard 6th. And if you do pick a guard 6th, like way back in the day, the Colts picked Chris Hitton 4th, and they moved him to left tackle. Quentin Nelson can't play left tackle. Quentin Nelson can't run. You got to be able to run. Do you know that according to Bucky Brooks on NFL.com, do you know that left guard is the 20th most important position? You don't draft at 6. All you got to do is watch. And don't tell me they shouldn't have drafted Josh Allen if people knew what they were doing. 2005, Andrew Luck played 5 games. 2007, Andrew Luck played no games. The owner of the Colts, Jimmy Irsay, said, quote, "We worry about the 6 inches between Andrew Luck's ears." Mike Greenberg reported the dissatisfaction of the Luck family with the Colts. I saw it for myself in London, walking behind Oliver Luck as he was bitching, whining, and moaning. Of course you draft a quarterback. Why do you think Montana was replaced by Steve Young? Why do you think Rodgers is going to be replaced by Jordan Love? Why do you think Rodgers replaced Favre? I can go on and on. And I got crushed all weekend by morons for asking a simple question. Do you know who the Colts drafted 6th? If you don't draft a quarterback, you're an idiot. If you don't draft a quarterback, or if you don't know the quarterback's going to be that good, then you're really an idiot. Hell, the Colts drafted Andrew Luck first, and the greatest GM, second greatest, or greatest 1A in Colts history, Ryan Grigson, was getting ready to draft Russell Wilson in the 4th round. Shut up on you. Shut up, Twitter. Stop it. And be careful, Bears fans, because Grandpa Polian is picking your coach and front office, and Grandpa Polian still thinks you build within. Look, I ain't mad about Joe Burrow having a punchable face. Joe Burrow has a punchable face. Joe Burrow's always had a punchable face. In the annals of punchable faces, Joe Burrow's face, very punchable. When he was younger, Rob Lowe, very punchable face. Now Rob Lowe's a medical marvel. He is. He's like, holy cow, you're Tom Brady. Holy shit. How'd you guys get younger? I mean, look at this. I'm going to start putting cucumbers under my eyes and sticks up here so at least my eyes open from their normal squint. Punchable face is not great normally. Punchable face when I was in college was a frat boy that had his collar up and his name was Biff or Skippy. You just wanted to punch him in the head. One night I did because a guy flipped off my very stingy fedora. So I drilled him, got in a car with my buddy Uwe, and took off. Thought the cops were coming. Sometimes you get a punchable face and you don't like the guy. I ain't mad at Joe Burrow's punchable face. Why? Because actually he's a tough SOB. The exterior in Joe Burrow world belies what's going on internally. I'll never forget J.T. Barrett, Haskins, Joe Burrow, and some dude from Vegas that was the number one quarterback in the country, all throwing passes. And I asked the recruiting coordinator at Ohio State, they were throwing passes on the field before the Ohio State-Indiana game, and I was on the field. And I asked the recruiting coordinator, I go, man, that Haskins looks like an Urban Meyer type quarterback. He goes, oh, yeah, he is. He will be. I go, what about that kid right there, Burrow? He goes, going to be great. I just don't know if he'll ever play here. He goes, he's legitimately going to be great. And I go, what about Tate Martell? That's the guy's name. He goes, Well, he was right. J.T. Barrett led him to all kind of championships. Dwayne Haskins became the next great thing, and Joe Burrow was great. Unfortunately for Ohio State, it was at LSU. Tate Martell became, I don't know, whatever. Johnny Manziel, way light. But the truth of the matter is, Joe Burrow, man, that's a bad boy. And if I were in Tennessee, Derrick Henry or no Derrick Henry, I'd be thinking to myself, we got a bad boy coming in here. Danico Autry, Jeffrey Simmons et al., they got to get after the quarterback. You better get after Joe Burrow. He got sacked 51 times, and that's fine, but you better get after him, man. He ain't messing around. Joe Burrow comes to play. Joe Burrow comes to not only play, Joe Burrow comes to kick your ass. And I am all in on Joe Burrow, man. I wasn't when I saw his face initially, but I am now. Hey, look, I ain't mad about Tony Romo's enthusiasm at the end of the damn, game? Cowboys game. It's a great ending, right? You know, he got excited. Good for him. I ain't mad about it. I ain't mad about it at all. Like a lot of people are saying, well, you know, he was hoping the Cowboys lose. Yeah, he is. Hell yeah, he is. Of course he is. Players are no different. You want to think that you're the best. But you know what? He got uber enthusiastic. And I like it. See, now that I'm no longer on college basketball, I don't watch a lot. But every time I've watched, I've turned the sound down. Because frankly, the monotone voice of Jay Billis or Robbie Hummel or all these guys is like, oh my God. I mean, you can be enthusiastic in college basketball. Dick Vitale set a standard. Enthusiasm is the spice of life. Enthusiasm, look, Ralph Waldo Emerson once said very famously, nothing great is ever achieved without enthusiasm. You may dislike me. You may not want to watch this show, but you're going to see me every day do this show with great enthusiasm, including before the end of the last segment with Jonathan where I had to go to the bathroom so damn bad we almost had an accident right here. I mean, we almost had to get me into a diaper. I don't know if it showed up on TV, but I whipped this thing off, went right to the bathroom, and usually we're on a Zoom call. I turned that Zoom off. I ain't going Jeffrey Tuber on anybody. I ain't giving anybody on no YouTube thing any kind of ammunition. That damn Zoom went off. I went right to the potty. Little enthusiasm. Little enthusiasm goes a long frickin' way. And I ain't mad about it. I ain't even a little bit mad about it. Man, did I get ahead of this, huh? Holy cow. I apologize. All right, when we come back, I'm going to do the show in reverse now. I screwed the pooch. I was supposed to go to college basketball. When we come back, I'm going to give you an unbelievable breakdown of college basketball. But hey, college basketball frickin' announcers. I know Dickie V is out, but damn, can you give it a little bit of enthusiasm? I'm trying to watch you here, and I end up turning you off. Well, you know, that's a foul. Ha, 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 ha. That's not what I'm here for. Don't talk much when you're an announcer. Teach me something, and for the love of all things holy, a little frickin' enthusiasm. I'm going to be watching Purdue. No, I'm not. I'm not going to have it on, so I don't care. Indiana, Nebraska tonight. I got my Indiana shirt on. Lauren, Donnie, I apologize. I screwed this whole rundown up. But we'll get it on track. I'm going to tell you who my team of the college basketball weekend was. I'm going to tell you who the toughest team of the college basketball weekend was. I'm going to talk about sad news in college basketball. And we got an undefeated team, only one in the Big Ten, playing at noon in the Big Ten game of the year. I'm going to tell you who's playing, and I'm going to tell you how to bet it. All that and more. Last half hour of Don't At Me coming right up. Hey, welcome back. I'm just finishing off a tweet here. Thanks for everybody for listening. I really appreciate you doing so. You certainly don't have to. And we're going to build this show up to be the best show in the history of the world. I'm sorry, but that's kind of the goal. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm just saying it's going to happen. All right, let's talk some college hoops. You ready? Let me tell you something. College hoops, for whatever the reason, has been overshadowed by the NFL, by college football. But now it's going to start getting into your conscience. It's going to start getting into your brain. It's going to start infesting yourself. Let me go through something for you. You don't get me on ESPN anymore. You probably will get me different places in the future, but not right now. And I ain't mad about it. I'd rather do this show. But here's the deal. You need a college basketball fix, and I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give you your fix right now. Team of the weekend. You know, when you play in the Pac-12, here's the deal. You play in the Pac-12, you go on the road, and you play two teams. So let's say Oregon. Oregon goes on the road, and they play USC. Well, Oregon State goes on the road, and they play UCLA, and then they switch. So Oregon goes on the road. And Oregon plays USC and UCLA back-to-back. Now, here's the deal with that. USC and UCLA are both in the top 5. Now, I want you to think about that for a second. You're going on the road to play top 5 teams. That's a mother. That's a mother of a mother. Well, you know what Oregon did? Oregon went on the road, Dana Altman's team. Oregon had been playing okay. They went on the road and beat both of them. Now think about that. Now a lot of you say, well, West Coast basketball is no good. Shut up. West Coast basketball is pretty good. UCLA, really good. USC, really good. Arizona, really good. Gonzaga, really good. And Oregon, really good. They go in to Los Angeles and beat USC by double digits. And I watched a lot of that game, and I got to tell you, it was close, but it never felt like USC was going to win that game. It never did. And as I watched it, I'm like, man, I watched Oregon earlier in the year. I watched Oregon when they're on because I like their style of play, and I think Dane Altman's a really good, underappreciated coach. This is a good basketball team. They won the game, and you know what? I don't really think USC was ever going to win the game. Different story at UCLA over the weekend. Oregon goes into UCLA then, and they get down at half, and UCLA is a veteran team. You remember them from their run. Well, guess what? Oregon decides, well, we're gonna guard you a little bit. They get it to overtime. They win by 3. That is the greatest bus ride. No, it's plane ride. That's the greatest plane ride in Dana Altman's career. Nah, probably not. They went to a Final Four, so the plane ride after you win the regional is pretty damn good. Let me go this route. It's the greatest conference non-championship plane ride in Dana Altman's career. Here's why. One of the things that you die for when you go on the road, you die to have the plane ride, the bus ride home with your team after a win. It takes 2 minutes. It's the greatest. Everybody's happy. Oh, there's relief. I always say this. There are 3 great days in a basketball or football coach's lives. Wedding, birth of a kid, road win. And I got to tell you, the order depends on the team you beat on the road. For Dana Altman, it's this weekend, marriage, birth of a kid. However he feels like the birth of a kid and marriage work out. But the number one thing for a coach, telling you right now, road win. There ain't nothing like it. People ask me all the time, I played on a Big Ten championship, played on Elite Eight, coached a couple Final Fours, on a staff of national championship, won a MAC championship as a coach, outright. First time Bowling Green had done it in 20 years or so. They always ask me, what was the best ride home? You know the best ride home ever was? We had to go on the road and beat Akron at Akron on senior night, and then go from there and beat Marshall at Marshall on their senior night. Now, they had a guy who ended up in the NBA, Tamar Slay. 2 teams that won over 22 games. We beat both of them. The ride from Huntington, West Virginia in a bus to Bowling Green, Ohio is the greatest trip I ever took as a coach, ever. I remember coming home from New Orleans when we won a national championship. Great. I remember winning the Big Ten title as a player. I remember getting to the Elite Eight, beating Michael Jordan in North Carolina. That's all great. But there ain't nothing like, with your team, a bus ride home after winning a championship on the road. Oh, it's so good. So good. Surprising news in the Big Ten. Very shocking. I didn't see this coming until I actually watched the second half. Northwestern actually beat the living hell physically out of Sparty. Now, nobody really believes that. Nobody really understands that. People say, well, I don't believe that. Oh, okay, good. Well, if you watch the game, man, oh man, I'm telling you, Northwestern, physical. I was watching Michigan State guys try to cut. The announcers never mentioned it once, how physical Northwestern was. I mean, they would not let Sparty get to where Sparty wanted to go. It was fascinating. It really was. It was a fascinating deal. And Sparty ended up making a comeback, had a 1-1 down 2, Marcus Bingham Jr. He missed the first one. The game was over. Feel bad for Bingham Jr. But the truth of the matter is Sparty didn't deserve to win. The referees gave Sparty every break at the end. It was incredible what was going on. But man, Chris Collins and his crew went into Sparty world and got it done. not by making 8 million jump shots, which is sometimes what happens when you win a big game. Sometimes you win a big game and you're like, hey, you know what, man, we shot out of our minds. No, that wasn't it. They out-toughed the toughest of the tough. They did. They did. Here's something that's going to happen, and I think it's going to happen today. I think we're going to see Auburn be the number one team in the country. Why? Because Baylor keeps losing. Baylor lost twice in a row. I believe this. I believe that I said Baylor might go undefeated. I make these hyperbolic statements that oftentimes turn out to be completely idiotic. I do. I mean, I don't know. I don't know why I say things like that. I wish I didn't. I would like not to. But the truth of the matter is, it's who I am. I don't know why I do it. There hasn't been an undefeated team in college basketball since 1976. Holy cow. The Baylor Bears, I believe, are the first number one team to lose 2 straight games. So now I think we're going to see Auburn, the Fighting Bruce Pearls. I think Auburn's going to be your number one team. Baylor was getting their ass kicked by Oklahoma State. It ended up being a 7-point game, which in all, is an ass kicking. So you're going to see a football school. Here's interesting college basketball. You're going to see a football school, number one, a small Jesuit school out in the middle of nowhere in Spokane, Washington, number two. And there's a real possibility that you're going to see Wisconsin, number three. College basketball is nutty. College basketball is cuckoo, and I like it. But announcers, a little juice. All right. A man died named Joe B. Hall. For those of you that don't know who Joe B. Hall is, Joe B. Hall is a terrific coach at Kentucky. Joe B. Hall was an assistant under Adolph Rupp, and then became the head coach. And I mean, at Kentucky, everybody was killing Joe B. Hall. Joe B. Hall can't coach. Joe B. Hall can't do this. Joe B. Hall's too dumb. I remember all of it. I do. I remember when Joe B. Hall was considered too dumb to coach at Kentucky. Now, I want you to think about that. There ain't nothing too dumb. Look, you get into Kentucky if you can breathe. Let me put a thing under your nose. Does it fog up the mirror? We'll let you into Kentucky. Ain't nothing too dumb for Kentucky. But they said that about Joe B. Hall. He was too dumb. He couldn't coach. He had talent, but he couldn't coach. Well, he won national championship in 1975. Joe B. Hall, I think it was 75. Joe B. Hall won national championship. Joe B. Hall was a terrific basketball coach, and Joe B. Hall was a gentleman. Coach Knight acted like an idiot one time on the sidelines and whacked Joe B. Hall with a rolled-up program, and it started a fight, and there was this whole deal. But eventually, Joe B. Hall and Bob Knight became pretty good friends, and I got to meet Coach Hall a few different times, and I got to tell you, he represented Kentucky perfectly. In my opinion, he represented all of Kentucky. He was an understated gentleman. He was a man who worked on a farm. He was a man who loved horses. He was a man who just worked his brains out. He was a big, strong man that did big, strong man things. Totally represented Kentucky. And you folks in Kentucky, you owe an apology to two people. One is the Joe B. Hall for calling him too dumb and all those things back in the day. And the other is the Tubby Smith for the racist, stupid stuff that you used to say. Just like the fans of Indiana owe Mike Davis an apology for all the stupid racist stuff that they said to Mike Davis. Idiots will be idiots, I know, but sometimes that doesn't excuse you. Joe B. Hall, I really liked him. I did not know him. I'm not pretending to be one of those guys that knew him. I got to meet him a couple times, and I liked him. I like dudes that are men's men. I like dudes that aren't full of shit. I like dudes that when you leave, you don't have to wash your hands. I like dudes that are real, and Joe B. Hall was real. He was. Joe B. Hall was real. And you Kentucky clowns, you owe him an apology. He did a radio show, really popular radio show in Kentucky with legendary coach Denny Crum of Louisville. Denny won a national championship. Joe B. Hall won a national championship, and they did a show together. I thought it was pretty cool. I thought it was pretty cool that these two guys got along so well together when so many people said they shouldn't. So many people on the outside were so ridiculous to Hall and made Denny Crum seem like a choir boy. It's all crap. Joe B. Hall, rest in peace. Condolences to your family. True story. All right, there's only one undefeated team in the Big Ten. Not undefeated overall, but undefeated inside the conference, and that's Illinois. Now, I'm watching Illinois the other day, and today's going to be a great game. It's at noon. It's Martin Luther King Day. And this is going to be a really good game. I mean, a really good game. It is two behemoths. One, Kofi Coburn. I don't care that it's spelled like Cockburn. It's Coburn. So just let's get that straight. All right? Let's just get that out of the way right now. Coburn against Zach Edey, who is 7'5", 280, whatever, and Travion Williams, who's the best passing big man in the league. The game's at noon. It's going to be a hell of a game. It's going to be a hell of a game. Purdue is getting 2 points. Here's something to watch. When Purdue plays well, yes, they throw the ball inside, but Jaden Ivey does Jaden Ivey things. What's Jaden Ivey things? Excuse me. Jaden Ivey things is getting to the rim. Jaden Ivey things is being a dominant Michael Jordan type of guy. Okay? It's not standing there throwing the ball into the post. It's dribbling, it's going out, getting to all those kind of things. If you see that today, then Purdue's going to win the game. If they are stagnant and just throw the ball inside, Illinois is going to win the game. This should be a hell of a crowd. This should be, what do they call it, the House of Pain? This should be at noon a monster game. So here's my suggestion to you at noon. Go to 107.5 The Fan, 107.5. Put my show on and watch the game on mute. I'll have more enthusiasm than whoever the hell's doing the game. I'll probably give you updates during the game. That's just my thought. All right, how to bet the game. Whew, I got a couple things here. I got a couple, and I'm not really sure. Purdue has played lights out. I mean lights out in Champaign. They have made Champaign their bitch over the years. I'm sorry, but they have. They have kicked the living hell out of Illinois, left, right, up, down. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's an ass kicking almost every single time Purdue walks in to Champaign. It is. It really is. I'm going to take Purdue in the 2 points. I'm going to take Purdue in the 2 points because, frankly, I think Purdue needs this game. Purdue's desperate for this game. Purdue was at one time the number one team in the country. Do you understand that? They were the number one team in college basketball for a minute. They went to Rutgers. Baker Jr. hits a three. Oh, not Baker Jr., excuse me. Ron Harper Jr. hits a three from about half court. No more number one. They've got 2 losses. Bad loss at Wisconsin, or at least a seemingly bad loss at Wisconsin. I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you. Purdue needs this like they need air. Purdue can't go doing all those Purdue things, which is screw up a good thing. I tell you this all the time. In the state of Indiana, there are 3 kind of fan bases. Indiana wins a game. Oh, man, it's banner number 6. Indiana wins 3 games. This is the greatest team in the history of Indiana. I don't care what you say about 1976. That's Indiana fan. They're always looking for a party. They're always looking to do something. They're always looking for banner number 6. They're always enthusiastic. Purdue fan can win 10 in a row. And Purdue fans are going to go, it's coming. It's coming. I swear it's coming. Oh, God, it's coming. We're going to get our ass beat. This is going to fall apart. They do. They always have a sense of dread. And then there's Butler fan. Now, Butler fan doesn't matter. They mattered for like 2 years when Brad Stevens was there. But Butler fan's the really analytic guy. Well, you know, when Brad was here, we had a nice run. You know, we got, you know, we were really the dominant team, and we still are. And Hinkle, although it's a dump, is the cathedral of basketball. And, the circumference of the ball, it fits. Butler fans exhausting. There really aren't any true Butler fans. There's a bunch of guys that became Butler fans. But that's the fan basis. So I would argue that Purdue desperately needs this win. I would argue that if Purdue don't get this win, you may see, if you follow this on Twitter or Facebook or wherever the hell you follow Angst, you'll see a complete coming apart of a fan base. To the point where I think it was a year or two ago, they wanted Matt Painter out of there. Matt's one of the best guys in college basketball and one of the best coaches. But Purdue fans are nuts. Indiana at Nebraska. This is a tough one. This is going on at 4 o'clock. Indiana's giving 9 points on the road. Nebraska is horrible. Like, Fred Hoiberg is the worst offensive coach, even though his team scores some points in college basketball. He was brought in to be this boy wonder genius. He was great at Iowa State, not so great with the Bulls, and now he took over for a man named Tim Miles, who did a hell of a job at Nebraska. Nebraska's dangerous. They've got some athletes. They dribble. Indiana's dangerous. They can throw the ball inside. They can shoot it at times. But the truth of the matter is Indiana's guard play, not great. So I'm going to take Nebraska and the 9. I can see Indiana being up 12 with a minute to go and Nebraska going and getting 2 lousy buckets to make it an 8-point game. I'm going to take Nebraska and the 9. I don't like it, but that's what I'm going to take. A lot of you are asking me, so I'm going to tell you. I'm taking Purdue +2, and I'm taking the home team, Nebraska, +9. This is strictly the next one. This is strictly a homer bet. Did you know in Elon, North Carolina, they got a ton of snow? My son's one of the coaches there. He's a director of ops. They've really struggled. They overscheduled themselves. They played, I think it was at one time before conference season, the toughest schedule in the country. They've got a couple guys going through shooting slumps, but I am not besmirching the Phoenix. I'm taking the Phoenix. I'm taking the 3 points against Jimmy Madison. I don't even know who Jimmy Madison is. Well, I do, but I don't know who's on their team. See, to me, give me Elon or give me death. That's what I proclaim. Yeah, it is. I'm taking Elon. I'm taking the 3. Tonight's action. Cardinals and Rams. 2 safeties out for the Rams. Do you know how big that is? You know what one of the things that really good safeties can do? We always think of safeties in pass protection, but safeties are supposed to come up and make tackles. Think about tonight's action. Oh, yeah. Wait. I'm sorry. I screwed this up. I forgot George Mason, -6 at GW. It's my favorite bet of the day. When I send my friends bets, I call them DoorDash bets, meaning if I'm going to lose so much that we got to DoorDash our way out of it. Last night, I took the Chiefs -12 over 46.5, and I made it a DoorDash bet. We won that bad boy. Yeah, we did. Same thing today. I'm taking George Mason. I'm giving the 6 to George. George Washington stinks. George Washington's a school that a couple years ago fired a guy named Mike Lonergan because he was too mean. He's too mean to you. The players thought Mike Lonergan was too mean. Yeah. Mean this. Truth of the matter is, George Mason's pretty good. They got a kid named Kim English, that's the coach. On Twitter, he used to be a guy that knew everything. Now he's coaching, he's done an okay job. I'll give you 6. I'll take George Mason, and we'll see if our toes are tapping. Cardinals, Rams. Here's the deal. I talked about those safeties. Eric Weddle has been signed. That's great. But I'm still going to take the Rams, but I'm moving this line to -3. I don't want 3.5. I'll take 3. I'm going to take the Rams -3. When I watched Kyler Murray play against the Colts, I thought to myself, you know what? Colts aren't very good, but they got a fast defense, and Kyler Murray looked pedestrian. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say Matthew Stafford has a terrific game. And remember this, the Rams are playing without Robert Woods. Robert Woods, not only a terrific receiver, but a great blocker and a fantastic clubhouse guy. But yet they've maintained. And you know what? Like Jonathan Hutton said earlier, hey, man, the Rams are all in. Von Miller, they're all in. So I think the Rams at home are going to win this. But I'm moving this line to 3. I don't like the hook. In fact, I live by very, very few mantras. 1, be careful what you wish for. 2, no good deed goes unpunished. 3, get rid of the hook. 4, always follow a person in a cape. Always. Something fun is going to happen. I'll never forget in college. I was walking out late night. Me, Uwe, a bunch of guys were walking out. Some girls were hanging out. I saw a dude with a cape. He went over to a house that was behind a bar called the Bluebird. I'm like, dude, if that guy's got a cape, he's going to a house. I promise you it's a good time. A lot of people wanted to go home. 3 or 4 of us went. Most unbelievable party ever. I'm not going into the specifics, but I guarantee you a lot of it is illegal. And certainly a lot of it is, if exposed on Twitter, would be a problem for everyone. But all I know is this, everybody there had a great time. Those are my mantras. Get rid of the hook is 1. Get rid of the hook. I'm taking the Rams, and I'm taking them -3. Period. Last thing. I hope everybody had a great weekend. I hope everybody continues to have a great weekend because, let's be honest, today's a day off. Celebrate Martin Luther King Day. Respect Martin Luther King Day. Learn about Martin Luther King. I learned about it with one of the greatest broadcasters of all time, John Saunders. John Saunders, rest in peace. He died. John and I worked together at ESPN. First time I worked with John Saunders, I came to the set, the one that Greenberg, Mike and Mike was done. I didn't know John. John didn't know me. He started under-eyeing me. I know how people do. They see a white guy that isn't famous, and they're like, yeah, how'd this guy get there? So John and I started talking. He started telling me how great John Thompson was. I told him a story about John Thompson. He stopped under-eyeing me. Then he was asking me, where are you from? I go, I'm from Gary, Indiana. Whenever I tell people where I'm from, particularly African Americans, their eyes open. I go, my grandfather had the hottest bar in Gary, Indiana. It's called the Caribou Lounge. He go, yeah, Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5 used to perform there. And when I was a kid, we used to clean it up, and the Jackson 5 cartoon was on Saturdays, and then on Sundays, the Jackson 5 would be on the stage practicing while my brother, myself, and all my cousins cleaned and swept under cigarette machines, washed dishes from the bar, washed glass, and we got to know him. My mother, and I don't know which one it is, I always forget. My mother, tells the story when I was in a stroller, she and Jackson 5's mother used to push their strollers, me and my mom's, Mrs. Jackson, I forget her name, and whichever daughter it was, I don't know, I can't remember anymore, around Gleason Park. So then John Saunders, now we're boys, right? Because I got a little cred. I'm used to getting under-eyed, but that's all right. So then John and I do a game in Alabama. And we do a game in Alabama. It's an NIT game. They asked us to stay. It was like a Saturday game. They said, hey, can you guys stay till Monday and do the second round there? We're like, cool. So we had a day off. So John goes, hey, Dan, you want to drive to Birmingham and go to the Civil Rights Museum? I'm like, hell yeah, I'm in. So John and I drive to Birmingham. He had his arm in a sling. He was on painkillers. John and I drive to Birmingham and have a wonderful day. He educated me. We were in the Civil Rights Museum and he educated me. And we talked and we became good friends. On the drive back, John and I talked about Martin Luther King. Again, I shut up. I let the man talk. He educated me. John Saunders then became a bit of a mentor. When I acted like a jackass, he would call me and say, hey, you're a jackass. Call that coach and apologize. Well, I never really called and apologized, but I would call and say, hey, was I a jackass? And we would talk. John Saunders died, and I'm really still sad about it. But John Saunders taught me about Martin Luther King. John Saunders was a great man. Celebrate, respect, educate yourself on what Martin Luther King meant to this country and to African Americans. Have a great Martin Luther King Day.